I couldn't keep doing this anymore, and I couldn't keep destroying the lives of the people around me. And so I tried to take my own life, which actually, and my mum doesn't like it when I say this, is the best thing that ever happened to me, because it put me on this path. I've really come to terms with that. Some of the darkest moments in my life are actually the moments that propelled me into the light.
Yeah.
It's like we talk about in some of my ceremonies, the elastic band theory. So the further you pull it back into the darkness, the faster it flies into the light.
Yeah.
And that was me. I hit rock bottom.
Hello and welcome to this week's episode of The Big Chat with me, your host, Coco. I've been away, had a little trip to LA, which was glorious, but I'm a little bit jet lagged, I'm not going to lie. But all is good, all is positive, and very excited this morning to have my first guest, someone that I only met probably about a few months ago. And I'm really going to enjoy this conversation because I got lots of questions to ask him, and he's just got such a fabulous name. His name is Matt, but he's known locally and beyond as the Humble Bear, and we will find out a bit more about how he came to be known as the Humble Bear as we explore his story. So good morning, Humble Bear.
Good morning. It's so lovely to be here.
How are you?
Yeah, really good. Really good.
Yeah. So, tell those that are listening and don't know about you and what you do. So they're probably thinking, Matt, the Humble Bear, what does he do? Why is he on The Big Chat? What is it that let's sort of encompass what you do at the moment under, within the Humble Bear?
Within the Humble Bear, so I support and empower people to find happiness, peace and joy in their life. That is my job title.
Yeah.
Is to do that. In whichever modality and process among my tool set that I have, that is my goal, is to pull people out of depression, anxiety, addiction, unhappiness, and help them find their purpose, to be on purpose, and to teach people how to be.
Yeah.
And that's what I do.
Yeah.
And there's many ways in which I facilitate that. But yeah, it's mainly, I used to say I help people. But what I've realised recently is by helping people, it's almost like disempowering. I support them to empower them to do it themselves.
Yeah.
I give people the tools. So if someone comes through for mentoring, it's like, okay, I don't just say, right, this is what you need to do. It's like, okay, this is how I did it. This is how I pulled myself out of anxiety and depression. This is how I recovered from addiction. This is, where my journey took me from suicide to happiness. Here's a little map that I've come up with from my experiences. Have a go.
Brilliant.
And add to it.
Yeah.
And do what works for you, because I believe that, on this journey through life, it's like a journey up a mountain. There's many paths up the mountain. And it's like I just know one of them to a certain level so far, and it keeps keeping going. So it's like my little gift is, here's my map. And
that's a real calling for you, isn't it? How long has that been manifesting, as it were, that calling?
I can tell you my story if
I would love to hear your story. Okay. That's what we're here for. We're here to chat big and proper about, roots and how this all came about.
Okay, so
start at the beginning.
So the beginning, as a young child, I was constantly fearful, constantly anxious about what other people thought of me, to the point where I was like a chameleon. I'd pretend to be what I thought everyone else wanted me to be. And I could be 3, 4, 5 different people in the same day, depending on which group of friends I was trying to fit in with. And, that led me to doing silly things throughout my childhood. But I just remember from a young age, from like 5 maybe, just being fearful of what people thought of me, not being good enough, not being good enough just as I am. That led me through life into the gym, but in quite a toxic way. It led me to people used to say, like, there's no in between. You're either, when I was out, I was either sober or drunk.
Yeah.
There was no difference. I was a rugby player as well, so I would do the most ridiculous things to impress. And it also led me down the path of, we actually had quite a famous drug death within the family. So I was off drugs for a lot of my life, and then when I hit my kind of mid-20s was when cocaine found me, basically. And from the moment that I took it, from the moment that I stopped in rehab, it was on me every day, every single, and that's from the first time I think I didn't really think about it, didn't do anything for me, and yet when my partner at the time put it away, I was the one that got it back out and finished it, which is just bizarre. And I didn't really understand anything about addiction, anything about any of this stuff. All I knew was my mental health was deteriorating drastically to the point where in 2018 I walked out on my, I was so depressed, anxious. I was in psychosis because I was using drugs quite a lot. Convinced myself that everyone in my life was going to leave me, so I had to do it first. So I walked out on my then wife and my little daughter. She's now 6. She's literally so cute, and I just love her to pieces. And sometimes I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe I did that as a father. But I was so ill with addiction, and that was in 2018. And then off the back of that, I didn't know anything about. I didn't even know I was an addict. You know, I didn't know anything there was anything wrong with me. I just knew that I couldn't keep doing this anymore, and I couldn't keep destroying the lives of the people around me. And so I tried to take my own life, which actually, and my mum doesn't like it when I say this, is the best thing that ever happened to me, because it put me on this path. I've really come to terms with that. Some of the darkest moments in my life are actually the moments that propelled me into the light. Yeah. You know, it's like we talk about in some of my ceremonies, the elastic band theory is like the further you pull it back into the darkness, the faster it flies into the light. Yeah. And that was me. You know, I hit rock bottom. I hit that point. It was on the 19th of August, 2018, and off the back of that, I was put into a rehab centre in North London. I'd like to say I walked in. I don't think I did. I think I was cajoled in. Yeah. This is where you're going for a month. And that was a real start of my journey. And I walked in and I saw the 12 steps. It was 12-step rehab centre. I saw the 12 steps on the wall. I got to step 3. I thought, the first 2 I can kind of handle. Yeah. So I got to step 3 and it said that 3-letter word, God. And I was like, I'm on the wrong course. I think I said I'm on the wrong course, right? And I'll be out of it tomorrow. Don't worry. And because I didn't have any belief, I don't know if I was an atheist as such, because I always had an emergency God in my back pocket when things were really bad. But I definitely didn't have I didn't affiliate with anything. I didn't believe that there was anything out there. So I was probably more of an agnostic than an atheist. But in my head, I was a bodybuilding, rugby playing, coke sniffing, beer drinking, not very nice person. Who was even my rugby mates used to say, "You're like the Hulk. You're angry all the time." People used to say they could feel me walk into a room. Yet I believed I was the calmest, nicest person who was walking around. I know I'm definitely calm, you know. And but this really started my journey into and introduced me to spirituality. Introduced me to, you know, someone said to me in there the first week I was in there, I cried solid for a week. Okay, to the point where I couldn't even really stand up. And I look back at it now and I'll just smile and laugh, because these are the moments that put me on this path. These are the moments that changed my life. You know, and someone said to me, "Why don't you try praying and meditating?" And I was like, "I'm not doing that." What are you talking? Are you nuts? And he was like, "Look at the state of you. You're in a mental asylum, and you can't stop crying. What have you got to lose?" And I was like, I'm a fairly intelligent guy. I was like, do you know what? I think he's got a point. You know, I don't want to be like this. And it really started me, you know, because I started to realise that meditation worked for me, praying worked for me, you know. Yeah. In rehab, they were saying like feathers followed me around. This is one of my things. I've got tattoos of them all over me. Yeah. Because they followed me around. I could be in a sealed room and one would land on my leg and they'd be like, where has that even come from? And it started, these synchronicities started dropping into my life. At the time, I was still working in insurance, in IT in insurance. Yeah. So not particularly spiritual. To say the least.
I mean, you know, customer services. Yeah, you're talking to people.
Yeah. So, and I came out and I started to do the 12 steps. And for anyone who hasn't done 12 steps, you don't have to be an addict to do the 12 steps. That's a phenomenal process. It's a real process for unpacking things. I think I wrote down like 200 resentments. When I did my step 4.
I'm doing step 4.
Yeah, just get it done.
I'm doing it.
Everyone, most people delay it. You know.
No, I'm doing it. I'm doing my step 4 now, and I'm telling you now, if someone asks you to write down every resentment you have, you do not realize how many things you resent.
Yeah.
And you've got to count from 0 to
Yeah.
whatever age
Exactly.
you are at now. It's
Exactly.
eye-opening.
Exactly. And I wanted everything out.
Yeah, me
Everything.
too.
I was like, I want nothing of this left.
Yeah.
So I wrote down all of that, all my fears, everyone I'd harmed. You know, I was really, really ruthless with myself because I wanted it to be free of that stuff. And you know, that process just showed me that the common denominator in every single one of them was me. You know, and it's like, oh, so I was angry, but I was the one that chose to be angry. And that was not a conscious choice, that was a choice.
Yeah.
And if I chose to be that, then I can choose not to be that.
Yeah.
And so that was the process for me. I went through that process. That was my first kind of awakening. And then in 2020, when the world went a bit wonky, I kind of went through a second awakening, whereby the mind went a bit mad. And it was so loud that I had to do something about it. I joined this group from America, because I was so just desperate to get out of what I now know as a dark night of the soul space.
Yeah.
And I started studying what my mind was telling me and how and transcending it in a way, practicing presence. The Eckhart Tolle, The Power of Now. If no one's read it, they need to read it.
Yeah, it's amazing.
That was my Bible. That book and the teachings of Michael Singer, who's also another phenomenal. He's like my favourite author. I lived by that. So for a whole year, working from home as everyone else was, if I wasn't working at my laptop, I was practicing presence. I used to have an alarm on my phone that went off every 10, 15 minutes to remind me to be present. And if I wasn't, why was I? Where was I? In my mind somewhere. And why was I there? Did I really care about what it was telling me? You know, why was I really bothered? So I started practicing this. And then a year to the date, almost to the date starting that, someone called me up and said, would you like to start a coaching business? A friend of mine. And I was like, yeah, that sounds like a really good idea. I really wanted to help people. I thought I wanted to be a PT, but that didn't really resonate. I just wanted to help people. And yeah, so I started this coaching business, and I started, you know, doing some coaching sessions with people, mentoring people, helping them to, or showing them how to get out of certain things, showing them techniques and tools that I've been doing. And then at the same time, I was at a sponsee's house, and I was helping him with some work, and the guy wasn't focusing very well, and he just wanted to watch this interview on Facebook. And I was like, oh, okay, just do whatever you need to do in order for us to get this done. That's fine. And it was this guy, Liam Brown, who now owns Full Power Cacao. He's now my best friend, and he was talking about his book. And I don't normally reach out to people like randomly. I was fairly at the time I was kind of going for a bit of a hermit mode. So I saw about 4 people in my life, and that was it. But I need this guy. I was like, I need to talk to this guy. So I messaged him and I said, I really like what you were saying. It really resonated. And I just wanted to let you know that. And he said, yeah, of course. It's great. We've got a yoga retreat coming up. Do you want to come? Now this is like during lockdown and all of that stuff. Yeah. And I was like, yes, I'm going to go. People were like, you can't go. And I was like, I need to be there. I need to be there. So I drove to Windermere to attend this yoga retreat. I'd never done yoga in my life. Okay, I didn't know anyone there, no one. I'd literally spoken to Liam once. I'd listened to his book in preparation, so I at least knew something about him, which is a great book. It's called Dealer to Healer. And then I turned up there and he was like, why are you here? And I was like, I have no idea why I'm here. I'm just here because I need to be. And he introduced me to yoga. He introduced me to the philosophies of yoga. But he introduced me to cacao. We sat down on the first night and he said, right, we're going to drink a cup of cacao, which is ceremonial grade chocolate. I said, what chocolate comes from. Yeah. And we're going to meditate for 5 hours. And I said, you're nuts. What have I turned up to? This is mad. But I went through this experience and I was in different dimensions, not psychedelic, just, on a journey within myself, releasing traumas, releasing fears, working through things that I'd never thought. And I came out feeling, literally came out the next day a different person that entered that room. And I was like, that's phenomenal. And then we did cold water therapy in Lake Windermere in the snow. Wow. Things I'd never thought I would be able to do. And I just I floated back from that retreat. And after that, every 2 weeks, I was up and down to Liam's house in Manchester, sitting with Lady Cacao, Ish Cacao, Mama Cacao, whatever you want to call the plant medicine,
Yeah.
in his lounge, essentially drinking hot chocolate and crying about things in my life, but in a cathartic manner.
Yeah.
And then one session, I just was like, I just want to know what my purpose is. I want to know what I'm here to do. I know I'm here to help people. I just really, really want to know how. And the spirit of Cacao came to me in that session and said to me, this is what you're doing. You need to go and speak to Liam after. I've got goosebumps to talk about it. You need to go and speak to Liam after this session. So I did. I went and just, I remember making a cup of tea in his kitchen, and I was like, Liam, I need you to show me how to do this. And within a month, I booked my first ceremony, and now that's kind of my regular group kind of sessions that I do. And people have had some phenomenal shifts of it. It's an amazing food, let alone used in ceremony, and it's just propelled my life to a new level that I never thought I would have had. The amount of happiness I have in my life now. From helping people, that purpose, that sense of purpose, the passion that I have is just, so that's a kind of whistle-stop tour of the last 4 years.
Yeah, I mean, it's incredible that you've come from that to this. A lot of people might not know what cacao. They might not be aware of cacao, and I obviously understand what cacao is, and I've had cacao. I've had some of your cacao. It's very nice, but it's becoming more now. We're now talking about plant medicine more. I feel you go into health shops. There's more availability of a different variety that there wasn't. I would argue a few years ago. So it is becoming more mainstream. But there's still going to be people out there that'll be like, what cacao, chocolate? What is drinking hot chocolate? What's that going to do? What is some of the history behind that of why it is such a spiritual medicine, and how it can, create in some enlightenment or some insight into yourself. How would you express that to those that are total newbies to the cacao world?
Okay, so cacao is like a all-encompassing plant medicine that works on both on your body, the mind, and the spirit. Yeah. From a physiological point of view, it is packed full of magnesium, calcium, potassium. It's got more antioxidants than blueberries, like 15 times more antioxidants than blueberries. It's got more calcium than cow's milk. It's really good for you. It's amazing for your heart. It's amazing for your brain. It's amazing for your cognition. It's one of the most nutrient-dense foods on the planet. And I drink it every single day. Yeah. At a lower dose than I give people in ceremonies, like 15, 20 grams. Yeah. But that's kind of my replacement for coffee. It will take over from coffee in the next 10 years. It's like where yoga was 10 years ago.
Yeah. I'm looking. I mean, look, I'm drinking coffee, but I would have much preferred to have been drinking cacao. But someone didn't bring me any cacao
sorry about
today.
That. Sorry about that.
The humble bear didn't bring me any cacao. It's okay. I've had people on here before that run coffee shops and haven't bought me coffee, so I'll let you off. But it is. When I have had cacao, I don't drink coffee. Yeah. Same with yerba mate. A friend of mine set up. He has a company that's he has a company that yerba mate is another incredibly strong plant medicine that can enlighten you. But cacao is, to me, I don't know. There's something more nurturing about it. Yeah.
So it's so it works differently to coffee. So coffee, the caffeine essentially shuts off the part of your brain that makes you drowsy. Yeah. So it mimics like a fight or flight situation. Yeah. Cacao increases the blood flow. It's a dilator. It increases the blood flow to your capillaries and clears the arteries. Yeah. And so it increases the oxygen flow to your brain, to your heart, to all your organs by up to 60%. So you're actually functioning at a higher level. So the stimulant effect you get is from a compound called theobromine, which translates from the Greek of food of the gods. Mm-hmm. Now, in the Mayan times, they used to drink this. It was like champagne. That the rich had it every day. Yeah. Everyone else had it for special occasions. And so that from a physiological point of view, you're actually functioning at a higher level. But it's also got a molecule in it called anandamide. It's pretty much the only food in the world that has anandamide in it. And ananda in Sanskrit means bliss.
Does it?
So it's the bliss molecule. All right. It's a natural antidepressant. It's a natural mood enhancer. Wow. When we go and sell this at like music festivals, as soon as we say mood enhancer, like, oh yeah, we'll have some. But we're getting this medicine into people, and in the plant medicine world, cacao's the mother. So you've got the grandmother, the ayahuasca, which is very strict and is going to give you a bit of a telling off. You got the father, which is iboga. Yeah. The root from Africa, but cacao's the mother, so it's the nurturing, loving.
Yeah.
It's like having a big hug.
It is, yeah.
And a warm embrace.
Yeah.
And so from a mental perspective, it is a natural antidepressant.
Yeah.
And it's one of those plant medicines because it's not psychedelic. You can have it every single day.
Yeah.
And go about your day. You know, I have people take a ceremonial cup and they can drive home.
Yeah.
You know, most plant medicines you can't do that.
No, you can't.
Well, you can try, but
Yeah,
you won't
you
get very
could
far. But for what I'm most interested from a spiritual perspective is that it's a heart opener. It opens the heart chakra. It allows us to feel more peace, more love, more compassion, more forgiveness. You know, I've sat in ceremony and forgiven all the women in my life that have ever hurt me, crying cathartic tears, and just letting go of that. You know, it's like doing almost like doing a step 4.
Yeah.
You know, and releasing all of that.
I was going to say, yeah, step 4 is pretty powerful. It does.
Yeah.
You do have a lot of forgiveness in that.
Yeah, and so we hold like shamanic ceremonies. Myself and Liam at the moment are on tour around the country, taking these shamanic ceremonies all around the country. So we have people because it opens the heart, helps people relax. They sink deeper into meditation. They feel safe to release things. They still feel safe to cry. You know, if there's not at least one person in the room crying, we're not doing our job properly.
Yeah.
We always joke and say that we collect the tears and sell them on the dark web, but.
The next few episodes of The Big Chat are proudly being sponsored by the Tunbridge Wells Soapbox Race. And for those of you who don't know about the Soapbox Race, the Tunbridge Wells Soapbox Race Stars takes place at Dunallen Park on the 24th of June this year. Yes, this year, in 3 months. You can come and watch people race their amazing creations of carts. You've heard of a certain energy drink extravaganza. Well, you know, this is the next best thing you're going to get in Tunbridge Wells. We've been going for 3 years. We've raised over £83,000 and we need your support. Get your tickets while they're still really affordable from twsoapboxrace.com. Follow us on our socials, support the teams that are racing, and we will be raising money for the Pickering Cancer Drop-In Centre, mental health awareness, and of course, Hospice in the Weald. So we're proud to be sponsoring these Big Chat episodes where we talk about mental health, we talk about opening up, and we talk about community. We hope that you can get behind us and see us on the 24th of June on the track. I'll be there. See you then. But it is a release. It is crying is, you know, you need to cry. You need to get it out of the body. And I remember having a guest on who said, you know, when you suppress your tears, that's not good. It's not, your body needs to release that energy. It needs to release that emotion. Yeah, because the emotion is just energy within the body. Of course it is. The way I teach my students, my clients. Yeah. Is that those emotions that we label as bad? They're not bad. No. They're not good or bad. They're just emotions. And if we can resist the urge to suppress them, to hold them down, because normally it's like, oh, I don't want that to get to the heart, because if that gets to the heart, that's going to make a feeling that I've labelled as bad, and I'm not going to like it, right? And if you can overcome that, if you can relax, allow that to flow through, all that energy just wants to do is flow through and out of the body. Yeah. Okay, but we've got this thing is we've told the mind, I want you to do everything possible to stop me from feeling that feeling. So the mind's, that's why it's chitta chatter or chitta vritti as they call it in yoga. It's got the monkey mind, right? Yeah. Just all it's trying to do is trying to find a solution to a problem that you've told it you want it to solve. Yeah. Which is an impossible task because it's got a limited amount of tools in order to do that. Yeah. You know, all it's got to analyze that is your past experiences to predict the future, which has never happened and will never happen the same as it happened in the past. Absolutely. And so it's like this crazy kind of world that we live in. Whereas if you can relax and just not react to it and allow yourself to respond to whatever the situation in front of you needs from a centered space, that is always going to be 100 times better than what you would have done, what the mind would have told you to do. Oh God, I mean, it's just pausing, isn't it? Exactly. pause.
Yeah.
I've just learnt that. Just pause before you react. Whereas we're so used to just reacting to everything, and everything has to be resolved now. Everything has to be dealt with now. And you don't always make the best choices when you do that. And like you say, being centered is, it's something that a lot of people don't know how to do. So it's great that there is more help now. I know, like you said, you don't help people, you empower them.
Yeah.
But that in itself is helping, because
of course,
many people don't know how to empower themselves. They don't even realise that they're disempowered, I would argue. You know, they just, especially if they're depressed. If people are depressed, you can be so far in depression that you just cannot see a way out.
Yeah.
You just don't know a way out. So it's great that there are now these other alternatives to, you know, not that there's anything, you know, if people need medicine, then that's fine. If they need, you know, practical pharmaceutical medicine, fine. Some people need that. But I think it's important that people understand that there are other tools out there that can really, really help you. I was a yoga teacher for 12 years and I did a lot of learning of Eckhart Tolle, and when I was on my yoga journey, and some of the books now that are coming up more and more, I'm like, wow, I was reading those 20 years ago. But it's still so valid now, because it is living in the moment rather than in the past or in the future, neither of which you've got any control over.
Yeah, and those books can be a spiritual awakening in themselves.
Totally.
Someone picks that up and goes, oh my God, just changed my life. I remember picking Eckhart Tolle up early on in my journey, and was like, what is this guy on about? This is rubbish. I think I was listening to, I'm not listening to this. I don't like that. Picked it up a year later, changed my life.
And when you hear his story of how he literally lay down and was basically having a massive panic attack, trauma attack, where he just thought his life was over, and he just gave into it. And that's when the release came. And it's that going through that, like you say, when you hit that rock bottom and you're like, there's nowhere else to go. No. Then something, I believe something happens, something really happens. And that dark night of the soul, I've had guests come on and talk about that. And I think I've experienced that very much so. But I chose to disassociate myself in different ways. I didn't dive straight in. I've done that at a later point in my life. But now I look back on it, I'm like, whoa, you know, it's so you can go back to things like you say that you've visited, and they're just even more powerful later on, because the time wasn't right then.
And so last year I had an experience like that, where the universe conspired to bring situations to me that invoked all of the feelings that I had, all the emotions I had around my suicide attempt. And so, because when that happened, I just drowned it out with drink, drugs, and tried to escape. And hence the suicide attempt. Last year, the set of circumstances brought all those feelings back up, and with the knowledge that I had gained, I just surrendered to it. And so I laid in bed for 3-4 days and just felt. I meditated, but I didn't do any yoga, I didn't do any breath work, I didn't do anything to try and change it or shift it. I just felt it. And I saw it for exactly what it was. And I practiced the teachings I teach people, basically. And I allowed those feelings just to come out for like 3-4 days. And then after that, then I did the spiritual practices, you know, the breath work, the yoga, to change or to bring more of a higher vibe to it. But I just knew that I needed to feel them, and they needed to be felt, because if they weren't felt, they'll stay in my body. And I wanted it out.
That's amazing. I mean, that's incredible to do that, because I can sit in sadness longer than I used to be able to. And, you know, sadness is an emotion that you can feel, and some things make you feel sad, and that's okay. It's okay to not be okay.
Yes. And it's like
we don't have to always be like, hi, everything's great. And, you know, I can be happy and I can be sad.
And sadness can be beautiful.
It can be beautiful.
Because you don't go to watch Romeo and Juliet.
No.
Come out and go, oh my God, that was so sad. Never go and watch that again. That's terrible. You come out and go, oh my God, that was so beautiful. You know, music's the same. Some sad songs, you're like, oh my God, it really got me. Yeah, I'm going to listen to that again. You don't go, oh my God, that was awful and sad, I'm never going to listen to it.
No.
So why do we do it with our feelings? It's actually like grief. Grief isn't you saying, oh, look how much I loved you.
Yeah. Absolutely.
You know, that's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
So.
And I think again, to it just feels like the world is just becoming more open to everything, because I was talking about this with a friend of mine in LA, because there was times years and years ago, decades ago, when people weren't even talking about meditation. You know, meditation was, I mean, some of us were, but we were the few that talked about it. And now everyone is certainly well-being, looking after themselves, taking some time out. Even lockdown, you know, that gave the experience to many where they had to pause, they had to stop, and they had to just go out and take some time in nature. Or, you know, that you can do a walking meditation. You don't have to sit with your eyes closed and, you know, do your mudras. You can literally just go for a walk in nature and take it in. And I think that people are more connected to that, don't you now?
Yeah.
So,
and this is the rise of the feminine, and I mean that in the feminine as in women, but also the feminine as in the feminine within us.
Yeah.
We've been in a very patriarchal system, in a very fear, anger, control. And you see it manifested in all levels in the world. You know, the world's like fractals, and the different layers, it's the same thing. So, you know, if for example, you're watching this and going, oh, yeah, that the government's definitely like that. That is a representation of your mind. Government means, you know, control mind. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
And so it's within us. You know, 90% of my clients, whether that be at ceremonies, whether that be mentoring, are women who have been disempowered for so long. Through societal beliefs, parental beliefs, all of these different belief systems that they're not even theirs. Some of it's not even like from this lifetime, you know. And we look back and we look at, you know, powerful women were burnt at the stake.
I know.
You know, and of course we've got this, but it's changing. This wave of consciousness, this wave of the feminine, it's coming up. I was talking to my partner about this last night. You know how the changes are coming, and the feminine is the feminine is the channel of God. They're closest to their hearts, so they're closest to the divine, to source, to the universe, to whatever you want to call your higher power. They are closest. They are the feminine in us is the creative, the pure creativity, the Shakti. If you look at the yogic, whereas the masculine is more Shiva. But we've been in this kind of wounded masculine state of, and the women as well. You know, I worked in insurance for a long time. There's a lot of wounded masculine in the women because it's all power control. You know, I've got to wear my red dress to the meeting so I can be really dominant. You know, that kind of thing, which is just where we're at. And I'm not saying that's good or bad. It's just where we're at now. But this shift, this change, the change that's been happening since the cosmic moment in 2012, where we shifted. You know, we're halfway through that now. We're moving towards 2032, which will be the kind of it depends on what modality you follow, but the 5D kind of. Liam says it's like 5D ready. Like remember when your TV was HD ready? You weren't really sure what it was ready for, but it was ready.
Yeah,
it's that, and it's getting people to that, but it's empowering that within people. You know, women to be strong, to heal the parts of them that they might not even have from this. You know, I'm a believer in reincarnation and past lives. I've had a lot of past life healings and things. And it's like, yes, of course, I'm carrying this from past lives where I've been. I mean, in my belief system, we've all been men, women, children. Yeah. You know, we've been good, we've been bad, we've been everything.
Yeah.
And so it's overcoming that energy within our psyche and those blockages. But it's so, I love it. I love, because a lot of people come to our ceremonies, especially when I'm working with Liam or on my own. It's like, oh, there's a man holding space. That's a bit, you know, I'm not sure. And then it's like they come out and they're like, oh my God, I love that you're talking about, you know, empowering the feminine, and you're talking about telling them to be strong, and you know, and it's that, but that's the divine masculine energies that I try and embody. Yeah, because the spiritual community has a lot of feminine in it. Now it's time for the masculine to stand up and hold that.
Well, it is, and if a man can hold space for a woman, then she can truly be herself.
Exactly,
and that is, and we've been, I think, conditioned to as men and women, for men to have to fix women. You know, sometimes we just want to be heard, sometimes we just want to express, and to be the fullest version of yourself as a woman, and to be really in your feminine. You need to be in a safe space with someone, and that means being able to express your feminine side, but you can still be that and be powerful. You know, there's been a period where it's for me myself, it's being like, well, if you're a strong woman and you're out there and you do as you are, then you must be really tough and you must be really strong. And it's not the case, that you've got all sides to you. And I think in a relationship, if you're going to have a really good relationship with someone, they have to accept you and make you feel safe in that space, so that you can be truly your feminine side as well as your powerful side. It doesn't have to be one or the other, but we've sort of grown up in this. My brother, I mean, my father's not with us anymore, but my brother tells me how he was always told, oh, don't show your emotions, you're a man. And it's like, that's tough for guys. And then they have women showing their emotions, and they're like, well, what do I do? How do I fix this? What do I do with that? So I think the fact that there's a coming together of the masculine and the feminine is so vital for relationships going forwards and generations going forwards, because no one wants trauma carried down as it is. We want to start healing that trauma rather than making it worse. And and coming from a place of like you say, with addiction and with I would say, and be interested what you have to say, it is that wanting to shift how you're feeling. People that get into any sort of addiction, whether it's alcohol or drugs or food or it's shopping, or it could be many, many things, doesn't actually have to be that, the two obvious ones. It's because they don't want to feel how they're feeling. They will do anything to fill that hole in their soul. And they'll do anything to feel differently to how they feel, or to not feel how they're feeling. And they'll do something. And I have been, victim of that, shopping, or, you name it, I've done it. But until you actually are prepared to look at yourself and go, what's this really about? You're just jumping for it. You're just like a ping pong ball. Yeah. You're never going to get anywhere.
No. I used to joke and say that I went into rehab for anxiety and depression, and I came out with 10 addictions because they showed me in every space within my life where I used a process, a place, a thing, whatever, to change, to avoid feeling.
Yeah, to avoid. That's the thing, isn't it? To avoid feeling.
If anyone's listening and thinks, oh, I'm not doing that, and doesn't have any kind of spiritual practice or mindfulness, you have an addiction. Yeah. If you don't have a process of releasing your feelings and feeling your feelings, then there'll be something in your life. It might not be as destructive as mine. It might not be that as extreme, but there's a way that it could be binge watching box sets. Yeah. TV is great, but TV drops you below consciousness. So the reason when we get into these things is because a box set will tell you what to feel.
Well, you check out, don't you?
Yeah.
You check out. Ultimately, you're checking out on life.
So you don't have to think. You don't have to feel your feelings. You can cry at a film, but it's not your feelings. It's what they're telling you to feel. And it's like anything like this. We're talking about relationships. I'm blessed at the moment to be in like a conscious relationship. The first one I've kind of ever been in, and we talk about this stuff. Yeah. And when something comes up in an argument, once kind of the dust has settled, we don't really have that many arguments. But once the dust has settled, it's like, okay, what part of me did that trigger and why? What part of me was angry? Because it's never about the other person. It's always about something in us. Yeah. And this is that kind of like divine relationship I'm blessed to have been experiencing. Yeah. And it's so different and it's so rewarding that after every single disagreement or trigger, one of us comes out, or both of us come out even more elevated. Yeah. To the point where it's like, oh, do you know what, that's brilliant. We love being triggered, because afterwards, it might not feel like that at the time, but afterwards it's like, oh wow, we're so much closer. We're so much more,
it's just total openness, isn't it? It's it's truth. It's just there's nothing else but truth there, because quite often we can feel like we can't express ourselves.
Yes, and I cry. Yeah. I cry, in front of my girlfriend. She cries in front of me.
Tears are good, man. Yeah. I'm like, I worry if I've said this before on a podcast. I worry if a man doesn't cry. If a man doesn't cry, I'm like, there's something going on here. I get concerned if someone can't. Yeah. I'm that person that if we are watching a film or something, I'll be looking to see if you've got any tears coming in your eyes.
Disney does me.
I mean, Disney.
No, every time. Moana. My little daughter, I'll sit there and watch it with her. It's my favourite Disney film. I love it.
I love Moana as well.
Because she finds a purpose.
Yeah.
But I'm sat there watching it with her, and she's like, "You okay, Daddy?" seem to be crying. And she's just like loving it.
The Rock cries. He cries all the
exactly,
time. Come
exactly.
on, if The Rock can cry, anyone can cry.
Exactly.
But I think that's the thing as well, that there are more men standing up and that are empowering women and empowering other men to embrace the feminine and the masculine within themselves. Because I think that before there was this segregation, and I've predominantly worked in male dominated industries, especially when I worked in sales years ago, and it was always like you were always having to be the pretty one and the happy one and the jolly one, and like you say, you'd have to wear the power suits and this, that and the other. And I loved it when I was a yoga teacher. You know, I had got tattoos all over myself. I was like, that's it, I'm never wearing heels again, I'm just going to wear flip-flops, and tattooed myself right up. But it has a funny way of coming around what you're doing, and then everything integrates. And like yourself, I like talking to people that are inspiring, and you know, that's why I wanted to talk to you. You do work with as well, with homes, don't you? It's important to talk about that, because you do Reiki. It's important to get across what you do.
So I'm a Reiki master, angelic Reiki practitioner, theta healer, advanced theta healer, but I have my own style of energy healing called Quest Energy Healing, which is quantum expansion and soul transformation, which is a mouthful.
Wow!
So it's called Quest. But it's an amalgamation of all of the modalities. I was healing people before I was even trained in it. You know, I just intuitively knew how to do it. I channel what I call soul language. Some people call it light language. It's like a very vibration. It's like talking in tongues. It's a very vibrational language. It shifts people. Like, I'm blessed and honoured to be able to channel that. People can find that on my YouTube and on my website and stuff. But it's amazing, and it's kind of. But I do a lot of sound healing with drums and chimes, and as well as hands-on healings. And I've also got a device called a Healy, which is a frequency healing device. So whilst I'm doing all of that stuff, this device is got access to 144,000 different healing frequencies.
Is that when you like you tap it over certain parts of the body?
It's got these like wristbands, and it plays these healing frequencies into people's bioenergetic field.
Wow!
So it balances parts of them, and I'll tap in intuitively and be like, okay, you need something for your root chakra.
Yeah,
I'm going to play the root chakra program whilst I'm healing you, and so it's like it's another layer to the healing.
That's amazing.
Which is phenomenal. But I'd go into homes. And I do the same kind of practice with land, because land has its own energy.
Of course it does.
We look at ley lines, we look at fault lines, we look at fire lines, we look at water lines, where they cross, they cause vortexes. And these vortexes can be really, really good, but they can also, for example, we've got a bed over one of them that isn't in alignment with us being able to sleep. That's not going to be good. Okay. And that's where dowsing comes in, and being able to tap into the ley lines. So dowsing rods, I can pick up on these things, pendulums will pick up on these things. But essentially, I use my body as a receiver for these energies, and the dowsing rods and the pendulum help me. Yeah. And they're like extensions of me, allowing me to tap into these things. And then it's like, okay, well, what are the energies we really want to bring in? Okay, so we're gonna seal the area, not as in like you can't come in, but as in seal the energies, create like an energy bubble using crystals, and then within that raise the energy with drumming and cleansing and clearing, and clearing any spirits that are around, any entities. People always feel like entities are bad. They're not. They're just a bit lost. Yeah. And they can attach to us. Like I clear myself. I clear my partner every morning. Yeah. Just so that these lower vibrational things that are slightly pulling us down aren't there. Yeah. Psychic attacks when people are thinking bad things about us, or where I'm publicly on social media. Of course, not everyone's going to like me. Yeah. Some people say, what is it? Not everyone's cup of tea, but that's okay, because I drink cacao.
Yeah, well, I'm like Marmite, you either love me or you hate me, and I'm just like, I'm cool with that. It's absolutely fine. It's you want to attract the right kind of people that resonate with you. Exactly.
But those energies, those thoughts, can get attached to us.
They can, yeah. And you've got to cut cords.
Exactly, and it's the same with our homes. It's the same with our offices. It's the same with all these spaces. So I go around and spend up to 6 hours in a space, making it the optimal and sealing that energy. So it's literally like the optimal energy for whatever it is you want to bring in: abundance, peace, love, joy, all of the good things.
I love it. I mean, as you know, you're going to be doing some work on my home. I mean, does my beautiful studio need some work? What would you say, Humble Bear?
I mean, everywhere needs it. Everywhere needs it.
Well, even Freddie, my flamingo there.
I don't think he needs it. He's pretty. He's pretty good. He's pretty good.
He's all right, isn't he?
My little daughter's got 2 flamingos outside her house. One's called Gary, and the other one's called Barlow.
Oh, see, I mean, I've got a partner called Gary. He will love that if it's a flamingo named with him. But that's Freddie the flamingo. Nice. So yeah, but no, it's been so interesting to talk to you. How can people find out more about you? You're going to start doing some regular slots, aren't you? Can we talk about that?
Yeah, of course. So
because that's local to the area. Because you were from Tunbridge Wells and you moved away, then you came back.
No, I'm from Sussex.
From Sussex.
I'm born and bred in Burgess Hill.
Yeah,
the lovely
town.
The lovely town of Burgess Hill.
That's kind of near.
And now I live in Tunbridge Wells.
Yeah.
So my healing space is in Tunbridge Wells.
Yeah.
I'm going to be doing regular cacao ceremonies in the evenings, on Thursday evenings, starting in May.
Yeah.
At the underground gym in the industrial estate.
Amazing.
Which sounds like a bizarre place to have a cacao ceremony.
Cacao, come on, you can make that work.
Exactly. It's going to be phenomenal.
Yeah.
And then also I've got a retreat coming up in Hertfordshire, an amazing space called the Birch Hotel, which is this beautiful conscious country manor.
Yeah.
We've got cacao ceremony. I'm bringing in Anna for sound healing.
Anna Robertshaw.
Robertshaw. Yeah. I'm bringing in a biohacker to talk about all things optimizing the human. The whole retreat's called the Human Optimization Retreat. We've got cold water therapy. I've got a live DJ coming in. I've got a hypnosis guy to do a hypnosis to the live DJ. Not him, not to the live DJ, to alongside the live. It's going to be phenomenal.
Yeah.
People can find all of what I do on my website, which is www.humblebear.co.uk, or they can find me on Instagram as _humble_bear. And yeah, everything. All my
they can get they can get your cacao and things like that.
I sell Full Power Cacao, which is my best friend Liam's brand. We tasted cacaos from all over the world. This was the nicest tasting and the best energy, and it's like some people come up to me and go, "Oh, I don't like cacao," and you're like, "That's like going to McDonald's and saying you don't like coffee."
Yeah.
No offense to anyone who likes McDonald's coffee, but try ours, and they're like, "Oh wow!"
No, it's. I can vouch for how good it is.
So you can get that on my website. I sell the 200 grams and 200 grams on my website, or I can give you details if you like.
So we just need to get more people coming along to your ceremonies and just
yes. Up.
Exactly.
If you want to experience it, get in touch. I can send you
the underground gym in May. I mean, that's not long. That's a couple of months, and you're going to be there. So.
Exactly.
Well, I'd like to come along.
Yeah, definitely.
So I would like to come along and experience something. I'm sure I'll be seeing a bit more of you if you're working with my dear friend Anna. Anyway,
yeah, and we in these ceremonies we've got drumming, we've got mantra, we've got all kinds of things. Meditation.
Brilliant.
just a bit of time for you.
Yeah,
that's exactly. It's a bit of time for you, and you'll come up feeling absolutely amazing. I have people call me up 3 days later. Oh, Matt, I still feel amazing. I'm like, of course you do.
That's what we want. That's what we want is more of that. So, well, Matt, thank you so much for sharing your story. You've been brutally honest about how you got here and what you're doing. And I think it's incredible. And I think what's really, really important is that people can, if they feel stuck, there are tools that you can use. There are things that you can do that can shift you out of that state of feeling and being and mind. That doesn't have to be by disassociating. Sometimes you've got to go inwards to come back out, I think.
And I wasn't born a hippie. I was a normal guy doing a normal job in a normal life. Yeah. And this stuff works for everyone. It's not that you have to be, called rainbow.
Well, it's the soul calling, isn't it? Let's face it. And
exactly.
Some people I feel sad for people that could go their whole lives and not find that, but
they'll be back.
They'll be back. Exactly. You're going to keep coming back until you learn the lessons you got to learn. That's the way I see it.
Exactly. So, that's a true meaning of karma.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, it's been fabulous to have you on, and I'm looking forward to getting my space. More love, please. Just it's all about love with me. So more love, please. But thank you for coming on talking to us today.
Thank you for having me.
Best of luck with everything the Humble Bear does. I love the name the Humble Bear. I think that's so cool. Thank you, Matt. Thanks.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, bye.